Welcome back to Portia. My hair is certainly ready.
Oh yeah, that's battle hair.
We got a letter from Antoine. This is one of the more recent additions to the game. On every weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, there aren't going to be any commissions posted in the guild. Instead, there's going to be a builder's inspection. We can go in there and there'll be 4 sets of tools that we can look at, and we can check for faults in them. And if we can find those correctly, we both get reputation points, and if we do well enough, we get a present the next day. So it's fun to do. We also get commissions in the mail. Those last much longer, and they're practically infinite.
Yeah.
They seriously bumped up the time on these commissions. You're not going to run out of time. You'll be fine.
No. There was one side quest that I failed because I forgot that I had it. But sorry, Sophie.
Some of them don't turn up on the side list there.
No.
Hey there. First time ruin diving?
Yep.
Alrighty. Let me explain then.
Allow my base to
All the
massage your
ruins and
ears.
lines of free cities are
Like
regulated by the
edible
civil
chocolate.
corps. To enter the ruins, you'll need to pay a maintenance fee.
You can tell where they changed it.
When you enter,
Mhm.
I'll give you the jetpack.
In earlier
instead.
builds, you had to pay
There
every
you
time
can
you
get
went
your
into the
relics.
mines.
Mine infinite
Now, you pay a
resources
relatively
becomes a lot
large
easier
amount
when you
to
have
go
less
in
work.
the whole week.
When you come out, we'll need them back, since they're very rare. This one beside me is an abandoned ruin. No monsters or
They're pretty
robots
cool.
in there. Just resources
There
and
are
relics
different
like
sets of
house
ruins. The abandoned
stones.
ruins are essentially
Anything you find in
mines.
the ruins
That
are
little
yours to
panel
keep,
that we see right there that's
unless
glowing,
they're ancient weapons.
don't worry about
Then we're
that.
supposed to hand them over
At
to
that panel,
check
you
for
spend
destruction.
money to essentially
Okay,
reset
I'm
the
done.
mines.
Have fun and be safe in there.
The game describes it as going to a new level. It's basically
We're sort
just,
of a
when you've
frontier
pretty much
town.
found all the ores and the relics, you can pay to reset everything. Luckily, the first time we only have to pay 60, later it'll be like 200, 300.
I believe it's 200 for the first level one.
And then the next abandoned ruins is 300.
That's right.
Or 600, it's one of those. It costs too much is the point.
Third one is 600. Yeah, it's one of those things where if you want to really get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, you really gotta like mine. Maybe not for a whole week, but definitely go in there more than once.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, none of these resources actually sell for anything.
No, it's what you do with them that sells.
Yeah,
Pretty much everything you get here is going to be worth like 1 gold.
that's it. Like, 1 gold apiece. It doesn't matter if it's copper or iron or aluminum.
But mining in general is pretty cool. As you can see from the different colors of the ore, we have ore veins. Right now I'm digging through copper and tin. The regular gray is just where you get stone, sand, and soil. We also have these goggles that when you press the corresponding button, it's F for me, you can search around and look for relics, and we'll tell you how deep down it is. So that's a piece of a relic. There are many, many different types of relics. That one's a piece of something that you can give later on. The town will build a museum. You can place relics there. Other things like this. Small clocks are furniture you can put in your house.
I think, yeah, all the relics are actually, furniture. They all have stat boosts, so, like the clock.
The clock will boost our health.
And that's it, just by virtue of having it in your house, you get 14 more max health. It's kind of interesting, actually. It's like home decorating with a battle application. Decorate your way to victory.
That is a piece of crafting material. Here you can see the problem of just having 3 lines of inventory.
You know, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I did not actually know that you could just spend money to expand your inventory until we recorded the first episodes. So, going into the mines was a hassle.
Yeah. Luckily, early on there are a few things you can mostly ditch. Like the soil, you're not really going to need that. At least not for a while.
So you want a surprising amount of...
But not until later.
Sure.
Same with that fiber I have in my inventory. There's a bunch of things you can ditch at first. If only because it'll be so easy to get more later on.
Yeah. Fiber's super common. Stone is really common. Sand is super common, just from digging.
And here's a feature that I like. You can open up the map and then press a button to go right back to the entrance. And so if I was done with that room, I could just pay to reset the whole thing. And then find more stuff.
If you've tapped out all of the relics forever.
And there's going to be even more stuff that we're going to find, I think, later in this video. A really cool addition that I like a lot. So in this first couple of weeks, maybe just this first week, I need to focus more on copper than on bronze.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of bronze just in preparation, because around the point you get, say, the level 3 work table, you're going to need no copper, but a crap ton of bronze.
Just a crap ton. Like, holy jeez.
But I found some data disks when I was mining, and the first time you find one, it opens up a side quest. You need to talk to both the people at the research center and the people at the church. Luckily, right now, they're both within spitting distance of each other.
What do we have here? Ah, a data disk.
You know what it is?
You want to know? This is actually related to how you can discover new diagrams for your workshop handbook. We rely on relic components from the past to build a lot of our current constructs. Many relics in this world are beyond our current understanding, and you won't be able to build them. Not even in 100 years. That's where this data disk comes in. These data disks are located
It's a little
all
bizarre
around
how
the
this works.
world. They hold lots of
You give
useful
Petra
information
a
on
certain
world
amount of data
relics.
disks,
If you
and in
find
up to
any,
a
give them
week,
to us and
she's
we'll help
able
you
to
research
read
into
them
these
and get the
relics.
information.
The research effort
And
will
luckily,
produce the diagrams that you need
all
to build
5,
them.
10,
You're
or
not
20
miracle
data discs you
workers,
give
so
her
don't expect
all
us to
give
come
the
up
same
with things from
information for the
scratch,
same
but we
blueprint.
do know a thing or two about
Thank
how
goodness
the
for
components
that.
should fit together. Anyway, just remember that if you find any data discs, bring them to me, okay?
And another thing, we found that one piece of a larger relic. Once we found all the pieces, we can go to the research center. They have a machine that combines them and uses some data disks to put them back together.
There are many forgotten technologies from the old world. Last time, Arlo found a self-heating box. Merlin tried heating an egg, and it almost blew up the research center.
Nope, too late. Now, we do also need to talk to Lee, the head of the church. I don't want to donate Jack. Lee's a bit more on the anti-technology extreme side. Pretty much all technology is evil to him.
I really like the story from, I think, the last video that we did. They were talking about the dancing robot, a one-legged battle droid that nearly destroyed a town.
It should come as no surprise, I'm going to give pretty much nothing to the church.
They got some really good stuff for farming. If that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like one of the big things that they have is irrigation flooring and an irrigation tank, which lets you fertilize all your crops at once.
They are also the only place you can get large crop plots.
That's right.
You can only build the small ones yourself. After a point, I got really sick of this particular piece of music.
Oh, right.
It's hard to tell what triggers which particular theme. This seems to be the music that plays after you've been outside for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And it keeps looping. But right now I'm going to build a grinder. That's what you use to convert copper and bronze bars into pipes and saws. Need some more parts for mining, though.
Hey there, I'm Emily, your next door neighbor. It's so nice to have new people move into our town. Drop by my ranch sometime.
Everyone's got those umbrella hats.
Emily is having
Yeah.
trouble remembering things. I wonder what I can do to help her.
Apparently it was the favorite of Peach.
That's right. Yeah, Peach made it really fashionable. I think at some point you actually can make an umbrella, and they're like, yeah, this is quite the curiosity. Ew, nobody uses these.
Here's Sophie. In earlier builds, the same button to talk to people was the button to pick up the animals, so this was actually really treacherous.
This was an absolute death trap.
Right on by you here. Let me give you something as a welcome gift.
She didn't give me anything.
See my granddaughter.
Well,
I just saw
she's
her
really,
a minute ago.
really fading, I think.
She does.
She's such a sweetheart, though.
Here we go. We use power stones to power the larger machines, like the grinder I'm building.
Anything that's not a furnace takes power stones. But they're quite efficient.
Yeah, they last, like, multiple days. Just gonna squeeze these in there.
Yeah, that looks familiar. There is no better grinder in the game, so build two. You'll get a lot of mileage out of them.
At least not yet, or if anything. Thinking about it, there might be one in a more recent update, but it's so late in the game.
Yeah, there's a grinder that is hooked to a furnace, and all you do is put in the raw materials. It just smelts the bars and then makes the thing, so it takes a little bit longer, but it's pretty convenient. I think it's even more convenient, actually, because as of the most recent update, crafting tools will actually take stuff out of your storage.
That's true. That's probably the nicest, most recent quality of life update.
Holy crap, my time at Portia devs. Why do you love us so?
Alright, and now we can make planks and boards.
Anything flat is made in the cutter.
And there is an upgrade to the cutter that's fairly soon.
Mm-hmm.
Only it takes iron, so it's not going to be for a little while.
Yeah.
And we're going to need to convert some of that bronze, like immediately, into planks for the middle of the bridge. And we're going to need pipes for the heads of the bridge.
Yeah.
I do already have some stone bricks, but I still need more.
Always.
Hey, it's my favorite character,
Yo, kid, looking good.
even though she has nothing else to say. But she tells me I'm looking good. That makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah. I mean, you are looking good. I mean, you could probably do with some new duds. Been kind of sleeping in those for a while, but I think you're okay.
So when you have spare materials, and I mean a crap ton of spare materials, feel no qualms about going into town and selling them. It's the best way to make money, especially with things that you craft in your farm, like the stone bricks. You can make so much stone bricks and sell all of them off and make thousands of gold.
It's a pretty good way to do it. You don't need overly much money. It's just mostly time.
Kinda, yeah. It feels like a lot early on just to buy the upgrade kits.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we are going to use to improve our tools.
Right the heck now. Upgrading tools obviously is a good idea.
It both speeds up chopping down the trees we could already chop down, but we can also take down these bigger ones and consistently get some hardwood.
Which is quite good. It doesn't take much to chop down trees, and hardwood is a fantastic source for furnace fuel, which you're gonna need lots of.
And pretty much every tree you see you can't chop down, except for the ones in town.
Or any that have fruit. You can't chop down fruit trees.
Right. You can also find bird nests sometimes. They really only contain bird feathers, which I have yet to see any recipe that uses them. Bird feathers and eggs. Like, there'll always be a feather and 3 eggs. Or a data disk. I feel like there were more weird, esoteric things in earlier builds, but that's what it is now. And it took me all day, but I was finally able to get Remy's commission. Nope. Need one more upgrade before we can take down the big trees.
Can't take those big uns. Ugh, Toby.
Toady?
He's got such a baby face. Toddy?
Toddy? And he's got that same Tate mustache.
Jeez. How many data disks is it to develop better mustache technology?
They've yet to gather them. But this is cool. You can fish in the game, but if you're having trouble, sometimes I'm just gonna call him Toady.
Sure.
Toady will open up a little shop where you can buy 5 catfish or 5 golden salmon, which are the 2 most common fish. That's really all you need.
They're rather nice. There's some okay cooking recipes. I think we mentioned last time there aren't too many recipes that actually restore stamina, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Basically just dried fruit.
Alright, and one more upgrade kit so I can upgrade my pickaxe. I can actually take it to some of those bigger rocks right outside of town.
Mm-hmm. And I think the dark rocks, too.
And also get a practice sword, which is much better than these half-broken boxing gloves I found outside my house.
Right, or that racket.
Or a racket. You can sometimes find tennis rackets while mining. It's bizarre. And they count as swords, but they're not powerful at all. I want to take a moment to point out, this is a pretty game. I really like the art design philosophy. Like, the characters look kind of funny, but the whole world has a really interesting style of these huge buildings, most of which are long collapsed and covered with vines and grass and crap. But then you also have the pretty sunset behind it, these large green fields. It's a nice contrast.
Yeah.
Nice bend there.
I don't want to get all, you know, worldly and braggadocious, but it's a little bit like Europe, walking around cities like Rome, where it's just you've got these extremely ancient buildings that are, you know, fallen into disrepair and ruin. and then everything else is rather nice and modern.
But this is nice, now that we can mine these larger, darker rocks. Ooh, I found a topaz. 2 of them.
Hello.
That's getting sold.
Cha-ching.
But with taking care of these, I don't necessarily have to go into the mines to make more bronze now. Granted, it does take a while for those to respawn, but now it's not a requirement to go in the mines.
Right. You don't get much, but it's something.
Hang on, I'm too tired to pick up poop.
Well, we've all been there, I'm sure. Ah. I'm glad that you ate that before handling the poopy.
Yeah. So as we go through these next 2 parts, we're going to wrap up my time at Portia with part 5. It's more like a little showcase of a game in progress rather than a full playthrough. So you're going to notice off to the side there are going to be missions that I haven't shown at all. Like, they just started, I'm not worrying about it too much. That's because I'm focusing more on building the bridge, getting into Amber Island, and going through the dungeon that's on that island. I feel like that's good enough to show how the game is and get people interested who might not have been before.
Absolutely. Anything beyond that point is, I won't say more of the same, but it is sort of the same gameplay cycle, as it were, just more complicated.
Yeah. We're crafting things, we're building more and more complicated machines, and then shoving them together. And beating the shit out of llamas.
And farming the procedurally generated dungeon for technological components.
Which, when you get good at it, you can just breeze through it.
Yeah, it's pretty. Hello, what a cool llama.
Some enemies, once you've killed enough of them, I want to say like 10, a boss version of that enemy will show up. At least out on the overworld. There's one for the llama, it's the Cuttin llama. There's one for the pan bats. There's also one for these rabbits that are out near the beach. Like, it's rabbits in magician's hats. There's probably another one I can't think of. And there's also one for Mr. Ladybug.
Right.
But even though he's level 21, I'm like level 5, don't worry about it. As long as you keep hitting him, you're gonna stun lock him and prevent him from doing the attack, so you can actually kill this guy. And these boss enemies, they drop flexible fiber, and it's one of the only places you can get it. Later in the game, I forget her name, the lady who sells you clothes, she will trade those for special gala clothes.
Hi, did you discover something new?
So we have a bit of an
Data
option here. I think I
corruption
only
on
have like
these
10
discs are
data
minimal.
discs.
There
But you
should
can
be
choose
useful
between
info
giving
on
her
them.
5,
We'll have
10, or
something for
20.
you by tomorrow.
How many data discs you give her results in how long it will take them to find anything, and also how big the build is going to be. So the smaller builds, just 5 data discs. 20, it's going to take a week, but it's going to be something huge. Now, I think I mentioned before, somewhere, I don't know if it was in the videos, but definitely while I was talking to you, there was one thing that requires 5 data discs that I did not find until, like, fall of this game, and that's the blender.
Right. Which is a surprisingly useful piece of kit.
Yeah, welcome up.
Thank you. This tree farm will be back in business in no time. Come on, Nate, let's get busy.
Alright.
Once you've gone through this side quest chain and saved the tree farm, they give you wood, hardwood, and ironwood every day. Very worth it. And that's about the average for 10 data discs.
Yeah. It's usually like 2, 4, or 10. Depending. And I don't know if it's... I guess it's random the order in which you get stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But each tier has a very specific list of things. Once you've exhausted all of the blueprints that tier can give you, then you just don't have the option anymore.
which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it saves you wasting 20 data disks on a blender.
Once you've found all of the blueprints, Petra gives you the option to give her 10 more data disks, and she gives you research notes, which at the time of recording has yet to really be implemented, like whatever they actually do.
But it's nice that there's still a use for them after you've bought all the large planting pots that you can.
Now Ryan, I've got a mission from Mars to get these spines, and if you talk to him, he says that only the higher level versions of the urchins will drop the spines. That's actually a leftover from earlier builds of the game where only levels 8 through 10 would drop spines. Now it's been changed where they all do.
That's just kind of their drop.
Yeah, crafting talismans. I think I need that for a mission. And also, using some of those spines to make the best version of the practice sword. There are much better swords later on, but the practice sword has greater critical chance.
Which is quite respectable.
The critical's like triple the damage you do. Just showing if you want to remove stuff. That's more like an earlier requirement to use the axe to take things down. Now you have the option to pick them up, and then you can press a button to put it in your inventory.
Can you?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Depending on what it is, I think.
Ah, okay. I've only ever done it with industrial equipment.
I love watching this little woman run around with a huge bridge on her head.
And then just kneel down with a hammer and boom, there's your bridge.
There we go, now we can get to Amber Island. Another good place to get a crap ton of wood.
Tons of wood. There's a few fruit trees, which is nice, and crystal, which is useful for, like, one thing. It's a commission that shows up a lot, actually, making crystal necklaces.
Yeah, but you can also get power stones from the crystals. And sometimes sapphires.
Yes. And if you are playing along, my friends, don't be shy about selling jewels. They are not used for anything.
I think the sapphires are used for maybe one crafting item, but nothing necessary. Getting rid of some of the stuff I don't need right now. Right here on the ground you can find resins. You need a crap ton of resin in the not-too-distant future. So at this point in the game, you can sell it if you need to. It gives you some decent change. But by the time you get to, like, the level 2, maybe the level 3 work table, you need to start storing up.
That's right.
Now, see, the downside with these fruit trees, there are two different types of apples. Regular apples that give you 5 stamina, and aroma apples that give you 20. You're definitely going to use up more stamina getting the apples than you're going to get back from them. I also really like that this area has these huge stones that you can also mine, and they're basically just medium-sized rocks. They just look bigger.
Which I feel is a little bit inconsistent, but I guess it's not the end of the world to just swing your pickaxe at everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you stamina to miss a swing.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Hey! +6 attack is fine.
Yeah, so there are some accessories. You only have 3 inventory slots for them. But the talismans that I made earlier give you some defense, and the crystal necklace increases your attack. You're not going to be wearing either for very long, frankly.
No, there's definitely better things.
So this area is really cool, the desert. That house is occupied. There's a person there. It's another one of those... Well, obviously they're not twins. Like, that huge, identical family.
The Hulu brothers.
The Hulu brothers. One of them lives there. And that's the first time you meet them, is once you finally build the bridge to the desert, and that's way later.
The one estranged family member.
Guess so. Well, that smug worm.
Ugh. That perverted caterpillar. He's just like, what's up, ladies?
One thing you're definitely going to notice, the commerce commissions from the guild give you way more money, reputation, and experience.
Excellent work. Here's your payments.
I guess the only reason to do some of the other ones is that you also get friendship points with the person who gives them.
For sure. Or, you know, maybe the other two are too much of a pain in the ass. Some of them aren't really worth doing.
The commission guild commissions tend to be really easy. Like, especially when you get these water tank ones. That's just stone bricks and wooden planks, which you should easily be able to store up, no problem.
Absolutely. A good tip is to never not be crafting something.
Yeah.
Always be smelting, especially.
So let's start some fishing. I made myself a rod. That guy I passed right by, he also commissions you to make a rod for him. The fishing is interesting. It's kind of different than some of the other fishing games I played.
Way the hell easier than Stardew, that's for sure.
I don't know. Maybe for this catfish. But when you press the line, you get the exclamation point. You get this little orb that follows the fish around. As long as you keep the mouse... that's your mouse pointer. As long as you keep that on the fish... Oh, and I found a ring. The tension on your rod doesn't get too high, and you can actually take your finger off the mouse button and let the tension recede. But when it turns red, when you don't have it on the fish, and you hold down the button, the tension skyrockets. And if it gets too high, then the line breaks.
Hello! I've got great news! The mayor has secured the funding to make 5 DVDs.
Oh!
These are 3-wheeled transports used for short-distance travel. They will make our town much more accessible. This is a big order. The mayor posted the 5 orders separately.
So big, I can't see!
You can start working on them immediately.
Just staring into the middle distance, thinking about all those delightful DDs.
Well. So come on.
The Ds are great. They're
waiting
basically
for?
golf carts and fast travel.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, now I can get into the iron mines.
There you go. So, pay attention to what you need for the DDs. And really just rock it, because you get so much money for each DD.
Yep. Here's the problem. You see Higgins. He's there at the crack of dawn.
Yeah. And Higgins will take these commissions.
I ended up only being able to make, I think, 2 DDs, which is too bad, because it took me a long time. But I'm not sure if this is how it is now, but I know in later commissions and with more recent builds, you can actually take multiples of these story-specific commissions at the same time.
Which does seem a little bit like crap.
But right now I can only take 1 commission, so Higgins got like 4 over time.
Yeah. It's not unfair how fast Higgins goes, but you really need to be prepared for what you're doing. And the thing with the DD is that it's a big, complicated build. Like, there are so many
I have
parts.
this ring that I found while I was fishing.
Oh,
Maybe as long as, like, you're not taking the exact same commission, because there are later story commissions with a bunch of different parts.
Well, to be
Right.
precise,
And you do a commission for each one of those parts.
That would make sense. That you could take multiples
Thank you
of those.
for finding it. I cannot thank you enough.
So that golden ring that I found, I pretty much skipped the entire investigative process, but there was a message on it about someone's golden hair. If you talk to all of the blondes in town, none of them say that it's theirs, except Gus points out it does look familiar, which is a signal that it was in his family, so if you talk to Gale, he'll say it was his wife's.
From the ruins. The problem is, they don't just lie around for people to dig
And it
up.
turns out his
They
wife was a
actually
fish.
power the ancient
Don't judge.
robots still roaming
With gold hair.
somewhere in the ruins.
It's the
We can only get
post-apocalypse.
these
Fish
parts
can
as
have
loot
golden
of the
hair.
robots. They're called the Hazardous Ruins. There's a hazardous ruin to the east of town in an area we call the Collapsed Wasteland. The landscape in the wasteland is somewhat dangerous. That's why it's fenced off. You should be careful.
You should be careful. This place is a pain.
The game's a little funny. It doesn't actually unlock the hazardous ruins and basically that whole wild area until the 17th. But the game tells you about it like a week ahead and says you can go there. They need to fix that.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Now here's a more recent addition to the mines. This I really like, even though it's one of the more obviously unfinished parts of it. But at the very bottom of the mines in some places, you can find a purple spot. That's not a relic. It feels like it's a ruin of the ancient civilization. It looks like the interior either of a spaceship or like a car park.
Right. Some kind of a techno bunker. These don't show up all the time.
Sure. Couple sofas, why not?
Couches for days.
Slow gooeys, they don't do anything here. They are actual enemies in the hazardous ruins. More recent updates have made them actually fight back. At the time of recording, they just sat there. Hey, I got a small engine. That's what I needed.
Cha-ching. It's one of the harder, well, I won't say harder to get, more limited items needed for the DD and various other industrial things.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in here but some old world crap. A silver chest and maybe some old world furniture. But nothing unique and fun. Actually, that's not true. I did find a nice hat in one.
It does tickle my mind, though. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There used to be so many fans in earlier builds.
It was fantastic.
Sometimes you can get a commission request for fans, but I don't think you can build any, so it's like you have to go digging to find them.
Right.
Now we get this, I think when you find 2 eyeglasses in the same mining session, because I got one before, but it didn't trigger yet. Oh, and there's another one.
Oh, look at that. I have only ever found one of those. It's not guaranteed that you'll get one. But it's nice when they show up.
There's another sofa.
Cool. You're just rocking the couches.
I could sell those to Mars.
Absolutely.
Actually, I think I find 4 and put all of them in my house.
Yep. Just have a weird couch party. Like 17 max health is 17 max health.
Yeah. The treasure chest room.
It was customary in the old world to have a piece of fibercloth in a chest in its own room.
And change for gum.
That's right. What do you prefer? Do you prefer pickaxe upgrades or axe upgrades?
Probably axe upgrades because you actually need those on the overworld. With the pickaxe, most things you're going to be mining are in the mines where the damage you do doesn't really factor into it too much. But with the trees, it does.
Yeah, I guess the amount of goods you get out of the mines is predicated entirely on the quality of your pickaxe, not any pickaxe skills.
Yeah.
Which is something I wish they'd change.
It does speed up the rocks outside the town, though.
Yeah, exactly. And in that hazardous ruin that was mentioned that we'll be probably taking a look at next time,
Possibly.
there's a bunch of nice rocks there that have a high drop rate for topazes, so there's a little tip
Ah,
for you folks playing along. I ended up with like 70, so
wow.
it was pretty good. They're gonna nerf it.
Maybe. Looking at the title, yeah, the Hazardous Ruins is going to be next time.
Oh yeah, so wear jeans that you don't care about.
They're going to get green.
Yeah,